Hello and welcome to another episode of Make Love Real, How to Create More Love in Your Life. I'm Mia Saenz, and I'm excited to introduce you to Micaela Passeri. Now, she's amazing. I've known her for years, and it's not just that I think she's amazing and that she's an amazing colleague and a friend, but I love her heart and her work. She's been into the self-love industry alongside a lot of us people from the very beginning. When I say beginning, I'm talking about at least the last 10 to 15 years when it just started to really become more mainstream. She has a clothing company, Love You Revolution shirts, and some other items. So before we go on any further, I'm going to introduce you to Micaela. Welcome, Micaela.
Thank you so much, Mia. Thank you for having me.
It's amazing to have you here. You know I adore you.
Mm.
Um, Share with us your story on how you got into, also, Micaela, she was before me, but we both went through the same unique transformational program. That's what bonded us at a party like 8 or 9 years ago. It was very
I
cool.
know, right? And
Yeah.
by the way, just a total side note, my daughter just did the intro 2 weeks
Did
ago.
she? Did she? Oh, awesome. Good.
That was good
That's
for
very
her.
cool. Very cool. That's awesome. Mommy's proud, and she should be.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
beautiful. Because any type of transformational program, everyone, just like this, it's an expansion into openness, into understanding choices, understanding all the greatness that you have in life. So, Micaela, share with us your story on how you got to this place of Love You Revolution, the emotional intelligence we're going to talk about, all the beautiful things that you do in your work.
Yes, well, thank you. Well, so I mean, it's people like you and I that do this work. It's really our own journey and our own evolution that takes us to it, right? They say that you teach what you had to learn, and so it was really my own journey of self-discovery and self awareness in really a deep desire to really understand how it is that I worked. Why did I choose certain things? Why did I behave in a certain way? Why did I feel a certain way? So it was my own desire to find that out, and specifically to really heal and make peace with some of the emotional baggage that I had been carrying from my childhood, from my culture, from my past relationships, just my own limiting beliefs that I had created as I was living my life. So it was my own really deep desire to expand and heal and evolve that really brought me to the work that I am doing. So initially, it started with creating positive messages and putting them on t-shirts. That's the clothing line that you mentioned. So I did that for like 10 years. And then eventually that actually, my clients uh, from the clothing line really kind of guided me to the emotional intelligence work that I do now, where I support women in really understanding and healing the heart space from the emotional baggage. So we our heart is like our second brain. It's been proven scientifically that it has a frequency. And so it's our attraction point. It's the seat of the subconscious. So if we have a lot of heavy stuff that's still weighing on our heart from our past, it's going to block love, money, connection, opportunities, right? Health, whatever, from coming in. And so what I do is I really support people in understanding how to raise their emotional intelligence, thus their emotional vibration, so they can free up the heart space to be the beacon of attraction for more love, more abundance, more happiness, and joy for their life.
Awesome. I love that. And it really does have its own vibration and its own frequency, the heart, and it's
Yeah.
really beautiful. Also, just so you know, for when you're speaking, it's bouncing, and I don't want the viewers who are
Oh,
excited
well,
to see you,
yes.
just so you know, so they don't get
Yeah,
seasick.
because
And I'm only sharing that because I adore you and I want you to have the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
clearest
yeah, yeah.
possible. So let's talk about emotional intelligence, and then we're going to move into the communication style and all that. Let's talk about
Mhm.
emotional intelligence.
Well, so emotional intelligence, it's actually an up and coming science, and it's really the ability of the human being to self regulate. So it's the ability to become self aware and then respond to life instead of react to life. So by self managing, self regulating, you are able to actually make better choices for yourself, respond to whatever life throws at you. And so that means that you can have deeper relationships, you can problem solve quicker, you can conflict resolute. In fact, big Fortune 500 companies nowadays are looking for their employees and executives to actually have high emotional intelligence, because they know that with the higher emotional intelligence, you're able to be a better team player, to problem solve faster, to conflict resolute with there's conflicts, and to actually hold yourself accountable through your own, self-regulation. So that's basically, in a nutshell, really quickly, what emotional intelligence is, and it is a learned skill. So it's a learned skill that we learn when we heal the heart and we heal our past, our emotional baggage.
Yes, love it.
Mhm.
So true. So vital, because we can't function on we grow up mature, right? I mean, age-wise, as experienced as we can be, but until we go in and work on the stuff, we really can't reach that space of evolution in the emotional intelligence till you actually look at it. And it's not, people are afraid of it, aren't they? Because when you deal with your emotions, they don't understand it. They don't understand that it's part of the beauty, the heart, the space, who we are, and it's okay to work through these spaces that humanity through society has told us it's not okay to have, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. We are afraid, and we think that we're not supposed to feel our emotions and process them. And in reality, we are emotional beings. This is how we're made. It's part of our makeup. You cannot escape it or avoid it. And so, in fact, you do yourself a huge disservice when you stuff it down and when you avoid and when you just kind of push through. In reality, the body needs to process through that surge of energy that takes over our body when we're experiencing an emotion, so that it can pass through our meridians and actually leave our body. And when it doesn't, we don't process it correctly, when we avoid it, push it back, ignore it, it can get blocked in our system, in our body. And that's when we create trapped emotions. And then those are the things that get hooked in certain behavior, mental, physical, or emotional behaviors.
Right. And that's the stuff that spins people out of control.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. We love this stuff,
I know.
everyone.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
funny that people
I,
can actually really love this stuff with all their heart,
I know. Yeah. I could geek out on this stuff all the time.
I know. And we're doing so right now. We love
Right.
it.
Right.
That's awesome. Let's talk about the importance of communication, because we communicate as society, as a culture, as beings, but it's not always on that matured level. And there are different ways to, uh, as we're developing our emotional intelligence, there's ways in which to communicate.
Right, exactly. So actually communication is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence, because one of the things that you with the skill learn to do is that you learn to experience your experience, share your experience so that people can understand it, right? And then so that then you can have some sort of um, resolution, conclusion, whatever, completeness, right?
Right.
So, but instead, people in our society view communication as maybe a confrontation. So it's actually negative. And people are afraid of it, so they avoid it. But in reality, again, they're doing a huge disservice, because one of the things that I tell my clients is that everything is a conversation away. So you have love is a conversation away, resolution is a conversation away, intimacy is a conversation away, happiness, smile, connection, money, a sale. Everything is a conversation away, right?
Yes.
So why wouldn't you want to communicate?
Yeah. And
So
clearly.
and clearly, right? So the reason why people shy away from it is because they've had negative experiences where people have yelled at them, probably in their childhood. They've maybe been verbally abused by the types of word that have been used. So they've had these kind of friction and prickly experiences with communication. And so then they go to avoid it, to avoid that feeling, that emotion that came up. But in reality, there are ways that we can communicate. So we can communicate from a grounded place, from a kind and loving place, from just really a matter of fact place where you're just sharing your experience not from a place of blame, but from a place of responsibility. So you're taking ownership, right, of what you're experiencing, saying, well, I feel, right? So you're not saying, well, you made me feel. It's a no, I feel. I'm responsible for how I feel, right? So there's ways that you can communicate. And a lot of times it's also really being direct. So it's not about beating around the bush with things and trying to say things indirectly, but you're using very direct terms and words, so that the person can understand you. Because then when you're not, what happens? Misunderstanding, miscommunication happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love this. I want to talk about self-love and also about a healthy heart.
Excuse me, I had to sneeze.
So let's talk about self-love, and then we're going
Yes.
to talk about a healthy heart.
Well, part of learning how to self regulate and learning how to really understand how you function, why do you think the way you do, why you behave the way you do, that is part of discovering yourself so that you can love yourself just the way you are. So the act of self discovery, right? The inquiry of self discovery is actually an act of self love because you're putting attention and intention on really understanding yourself and really knowing at the core who you are, what your truth is, and what you stand for. And then from there, you can make decisions based on your principles and your values, which keep you connected to your self-love, right? To honoring yourself, to loving and taking care of yourself, to holding healthy boundaries, to expressing yourself when you need to communicating what you're experiencing, right? So that all encompasses self-love. And it's really and underneath that, right? So that's kind of like surface. Then underneath that, there's really the process of healing the heart.
Mhm.
In order for you to really love yourself, you've got to heal that which makes you not feel good,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So that you can feel good. And so healing the heart and making peace with your past is part of reaching self-love, getting to a place of loving who you are, flaws and all,
Mhm.
experiences and all, mistakes and all, right?
Self-love is the pinnacle of where we want to be, and
Right,
everything else is the roadmaps to get there, right? It's
right,
like utopia, but it is attainable. We know, those of us who have been on this journey our whole life, or 10 years, or even less, but we see that the development work is what shifts us into that space of self-love, and it's really beautiful.
yeah, and what doesn't have us go to that place is ignoring our own feelings and emotions and thoughts when we're not paying attention to how we feel and what we're thinking, and then how we're behaving because of that, right? Because thoughts, feelings, and actions. And actually, what I teach is emotions, thoughts, feelings, and actions. Emotions come first. It's actually the first line of defense when you are experiencing life. You experience life through your emotions. When you actually are able to understand and take a look at it, then that's when you can really create a deep loving and care and value for yourself.
Awesome. Now, healing the heart. We know that that's really important. It brings us a healthy heart sense, right? Uh, In the way in which we operate on an emotional level.
Hmm.
So let's talk about this.
So let's talk about like ways that you can heal it or the
Well,
process.
that's you can share that too, but how bringing in like heart coherency and connection.
Right,
These are aspects in which we heal our heart. Besides going through our storyline and breaking the energy around the trauma that was there, these
right,
are all ways in which we elevate into a healthy heart space.
right.
You had pointed out, which is right on and perfect, that a healthy heart is the place of self-love, it's the place of healing, it's
Hmm.
removal of trauma, it's evolution. And so I want people to understand, because here we have this heart, here we have this brain, and in
Right.
between we're trying to put it all together. And it's not as scary as humanity thinks it is.
Right.
Humanity thinks it's the most frightening thing. Why? Because they don't understand it.
Yeah, so it is about connecting the heart and the brain, the heart and the mind. It's that heart-mind connection so that you can not only think and process yourself through something, but you can actually feel and experience. And so, how that might look like to some people is maybe for some people that are more analytical and they're in their head a lot, they're constantly in their head thinking about either thinking ahead or thinking about all possible solutions and possibilities, right? And maybe people that are instead, so those are like people that are more in the head. The people that are more in the heart are maybe people that are on the roller coaster ride of their emotions. So they're feeling the peaks and the valleys of the emotional experience, without actually connecting with the heart and processing themselves through it, right? Figuring out, asking themselves, okay, why am I feeling this? Why am I experiencing this? What is this a trigger from? What's underneath this? Like asking them. So when I say process, is you're literally asking yourself questions to understand where the root cause is, where the trigger is, so that then you can actually release and heal it and let it move out of the experience. So then the people that are more stuck in that, they're feeling those peaks and valleys and they're more kind of losing control, right? And so emotional intelligence and the mind heart connection allows you to be more even keel, so that you have kind of a both operational of the system, right? The mind and the body, which are, the mind and the heart, which are the two brains of the body. We also have a third brain, which is the gut, right? So that's a whole other conversation. But right now we're talking about the two brains. Society and how we're taught focuses mainly on our main brain, right? Our thinking brain, our cognitive brain. But really the heart center is also the brain where here we keep our thoughts and here we keep really our emotions and our feelings. So the people that are able to connect the mind and the heart are the ones that are going to not feel the peaks and the valleys as much, not be too much in their head, not be out of control too much, but they're literally processing. They're in that inquiry of like, okay, so what's this about? Ooh, I'm feeling that again. Interesting. What's that about? So they're literally using their mind and their heart at the same time.
Yeah.
Right?
Because they're learning how to have them flow together.
Exactly.
It's interesting for people to realize that there is a type of a brain system, not just within our brain that we know, but also within the heart, like you were saying, and in the gut. That's why people have these gut reactions to things, intuition, all that type of stuff they feel in their body. It's so beautiful to get to know the body, isn't it? In addition,
Oh, it's
it is. It's
amazing.
brilliant. I really
Yeah,
love
and one of
it.
the things that I tell clients is, if you think about it, we don't have to think about breathing or beating our hearts, right? As women, you and I have kids, right? So we didn't sit there when we were pregnant and say, okay, wait a minute, today I'm going to make my baby's brain. Tomorrow I'm going to make her feet. No, we don't think that. It happens automatically, right? So our body already knows how to process, right? And how to heal and how to mend and how to know what's good for us, what's not good for us. So all we have to do is really come into alignment with our body. And we do that by connecting the mind and the heart. Mind and then heart.
Yes. The body intelligence is amazing. It really is. Will you share with us your free gift? You have one for us. Yay.
Yeah, sure, of course. So, emotional intelligence it's a fascinating, fascinating topic. And like I said, it is a learned skill. So you can absolutely learn it. So my free gift is really the 5 emotional intelligence keys to life and business mastery. And so you can go to a website where you can enter your email and get the free download. So you go to www.youreq.info. So it's youreq.info.
And they'll have it in their emails and all that. Beautiful.
Perfect.
Lovely. So before we sign off, I want you to share with us, and you shared a lot, but what do you want the audience and the world to know that's either on your heart or your mind or both?
Yeah. Well, I think the main thing is to think there's a lot of people out there that are really afraid of feeling, and so I want them to know that it's part of who you are, and the more you can embrace it, and the more you can allow yourself to feel, even if it's past experiencing re-experiencing past experiences, right, or memories, that is actually where you're going to find the healing. So don't be afraid. Absolutely give yourself the gift to feel deeper so that you can have actually a deeper experience of life, a more joyous, happy, abundant, and love filled life while you're here, because we only really get one life in this incarnation. So
Hmm. We do.
might as well make the best of it and feel, and experience it to the deepest that we can so we can enjoy it the
Absolutely.
most.
Absolutely. And when we do that, we really, life is totally different, right? Because when we look within our life as it's happening, we feel deeper, we feel richer, we feel more connected. We're connected to the emotion and the body and the heart. It's really beautiful.
It is, yeah, yeah.
It's really
Absolutely. And
beautiful.
it really allows you to also shift your interpretation of things that are happening, right? Because we have choice, right? We have free will. That's one of the laws of the universe, is
That's
the
right.
law of free will. So we have free will in every moment of our life. And so we can choose to look at certain circumstances and certain experiences that we've had as negative, or we can choose a new and more empowering interpretation, which then shifts our whole experience of life. And then from the day that you choose to have that more positive, empowering interpretation, you will start to experience life in a so much richer way that
Mhm.
you probably maybe have never even thought about. It's like
I
a
don't think unless,
miracle.
yeah, unless you're doing the work and enjoying it and really are aware of everything, I don't think that people even understand. They can't understand, right? And so we encourage you to take this journey into yourself because it's really brilliant.
Yeah.
Really brilliant. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Michaela, for coming
Thanks
on
for
and
having
sharing
me.
that. It's beautiful. Thank you. And thank you all for joining us for another episode of Make Love Real. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Beautiful.